Okay, hi everybody, and welcome back to my humble podcast, the Band with Kaleidoscope Ears. And once again, James, welcome, and it's good to have you here.
It's good to be here, Vinny.
How's the weather in Japan right now?
Chilly, but no one wants to hear about that. And I would ask you about the weather in California, but we all know it's beautiful and sunny. So,
Today was kind of overcast, but yeah, like the rest of the country is freezing, and we've had 80-degree weather. So it's chilly by the beach. It's like 75 degrees. So
Ooh.
that happens every year. It's a weird phenomenon, but sometimes it rains, right? So
Wow. Oh, you know what? You gave me the perfect segue to this song, and I totally did. Woo, right over my head. It actually snowed here the other day, which is unusual for my part of Japan, but anyway.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh yeah. I saw something about that. It's probably worse in other parts of Japan too.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's. We're talking about rain, obviously, and I couldn't help but think, like, as far as the lyrics go, which we'll talk about, but that when you meet a stranger and there's nothing much, you're trying to get some sort of what do we have in common thing. First thing you talk about is the weather, right? Wow, beautiful day today, huh? Whatever. And it kind of made me think John was at a loss for things to write, so I'll write about the weather. Yeah. So anyway,
well,
we're talking.
Okay, actually, let's jump right into it because actually, I do have something to say about that specifically.
Okay, cool.
Because I've been busting out the old big book that came with the Revolver Deluxe box set, and
I'm jealous. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome, and you'll like this. Although listeners in 1966 might have felt the music had beamed from another dimension, the words of the song seemed more grounded. This is a song I wrote about people who are always moaning about the weather all the time, John commented. Whatever it is, it's okay. It's meant to be. Others see the lyric holding a deeper meaning inspired by John's encounters with LSD and interest in the ancient Eastern philosophy he discovered in the psychedelic experience. Either way, maybe it's just literally about the weather.
Yeah, I have a slant on that. But before we go into more about any of the lyrics, is there any kind of background information you want to give us?
Right. Yes. Again, let's jump right into it. So this book goes through all the songs on Revolver and the singles, and has the breakdown of the recording process and everything.
All right, one moment. Was Rain written around the same era as Revolver, like within the same kind of year or time range?
Yeah, definitely. It was in 66. So Rain was recorded in April of 66. Tomorrow Never Knows was the first song recorded for the Revolver.
Right. Yeah.
Revolver sessions. That was early April 66. And I think it went over basically a couple months. They were recording into June at least. So it's all around that time, early, spring into early summer of 66. And the interesting part about this song, I am assuming if people are tuning into this, they know a thing or two about the Beatles. So they will know that this song was recorded at a much faster tempo and then slowed down in order to sing the lyrics over top in the slowed down version. Now, there's a lot to say about this. One thing is, Vinny, you tell us, what key is the finished, final produced record in?
G-ish. It's a little bit...
G-ish, yeah.
It's very close to G.
Now, here's the question. What did they record it in?
A.
No.
No?
No.
Wow, my sources are
and
off.
That's surprising, isn't it? That's very surprising. It's B flat. What?
Okay.
But here's the question. Were they using capos? It does not sound like that.
Yeah, there is... when we get into there are so many bizarre artifacts in this song that I can't make sense of even,
Well, anyway, they recorded it in B flat for some reason and then slowed it down so it's G-ish. And then that's what John sang over. Here's another thing. here's okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty of this. There's some controversy. So you know the channel Parlogram on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, yeah. Great
So he
channel.
has a deep dive how the Beatles recorded Rain and why the box set got it wrong. Talking about this book and talking about what they wrote about it in here, and he's talking about essentially he says uh, I'll let you watch. I'll put the link for people if they want to see it. But he's
Absolutely.
saying
Give me
that
that link. Yeah.
he thought it was in A, and they slowed it down to G because that makes more sense. But somebody in the comments of his video went on the deep dive. Andrew, there's a really easy way to determine the exact real speed of the Rain basic rhythm and bass track. All you have to do is capture the mains power hum, which is 50 hertz of the guitar amps on the track. The guitar amp hum is always constant at 50 hertz and independent of the tape running speed. So you can basically tune the recording by that hum if you have the hum. Fortunately, there's enough pre-take silent space with just the hum, and it does really confirm that the backing track was played in B flat, to my surprise as well. On the other hand, this book claims that the bass was overdubbed with the tape running fast. So they say the original backing track is apparently John and Paul on guitar, and then Paul overdubbed bass on top of that basic backing track. But in here, it's saying they were he recorded the bass on top of the actual speed version, and they slowed that down with everything else. But this guy is saying the bass track isolation reveals that when you tune the main hum to 50 hertz, it's in G, which is the slowed down version. As in, Paul recorded his bass over top of the slowed down version. I don't know. I certainly don't
Wow.
know which is right, or if this guy's off his rocker or what. But anyway, there's still confusion to this day about exactly how this track was constructed.
Wow. God bless these guys that go so deep into the research. Yeah, really. I got to hand it to them. In fact, I was thinking, James, maybe it'd be really cool for us to do like, I draw on Mike Pachelli, who, by the way, said the original key is A and they slowed it down, right? Um, and also Frudua Galeazzo, that guy, the Beatles vocal guy. It'd be great to do like take one song and do a podcast with those guys.
Mm,
Just have this big group podcast. It'd be really cool
yeah, yeah.
because like I was going to start with a disclaimer that I'm not here to teach you the guitar parts the way that John and Paul and George did them, but you could go to Mike Pachelli and find out how they did, which in this particular case of this song is a pain it to reinterpret it. Now, and then also to micromanage all the little vocal parts, harmonies. I didn't get into that. I didn't, and I love these people that are willing to do that. That's why I thought it'd be great to draw on these researchers in an actual group podcast. Um, oh, what was I going to say?
So you're not here to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly. Um, anyway, all right, cool. As far as the B flat goes, this is really interesting because you can find, and I'm going to put it in the show notes. You can find the original fast speed version that they did, right? Um, thing is, Paul's bass is on there,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's not.
exactly right. So if it was recorded slowed down, did they speed that isolated bass track up to put it on this
Yeah,
on this sped
right,
up
right,
version?
right.
Like what? What? I don't know. Again,
It
how does
must have
that
been
work?
it must have been a nut house of a recording session, really. But it's fun to listen to the fast version because it's
Yeah,
super fast. It's like,
it's crazy how fast it is.
yeah, right.
And
Uh,
Ringo doing that drumming at that tempo.
yeah,
My
yeah.
God. Yeah, crazy.
And by the way, of course, lore has it that it's Ringo's favorite song for his drumming. He feels that he did a great job, and he did. And when you slow those drums down, man, it's like wow, they have a deeper impact. So yeah, yeah, very cool. I was going to say though, on the original sped up it's not sped up. The original version, which is fast. I played along to it, and it was in B flat, and I thought, oh, my guitar must be badly tuned right now. So, yeah, yeah, interesting. So, but here's the thing: like George's part, uh, does a lot of moving around, things like that. Classic George stuff. Um,
Or was it Paul?
or it might have been, yeah, God knows. I mean,
According to this, it was John and Paul doing guitars. So
yeah. In fact, I don't think Matt Pachelli researched it deep enough because he assumed it was just John and George. You know, um, I'm going to link it. It's not one of his best breakdowns, but it gives you a sense of all the stuff that's going on in this song.
yeah, according to this official breakdown, John lead vocal, harmony vocal, guitar. Paul harmony vocal, guitar, bass. George harmony vocal. So according to this, George was not playing on this.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. So, is that anything else about the background you'd like to mention? Or?
Uh, I think that's there's a yeah. You already hit on Ringo saying they've got the quote in him of saying that he felt like he was possessed. He felt like it wasn't even him playing. So yeah,
Right. All right. Well, if we think of as Tomorrow Never Knows as the kind of hatchling of psychedelia, um, Rain is just drenched in psychedelicness. It's so, and it's very. There's something about a lot of psychedelic music that it tends to be a little overdone. Like this particular. This is not my favorite Beatles song, by the way. It's okay, it's good, but it doesn't. You know, there's not much to talk about with the chord movement, obviously, which we'll get into. Um, but it is very dense and thick. Like when you think of a song like "It's All Too Much" by George Harrison, it's again that really dense, thick. Like we're just going to layer a bunch of stuff on, which isn't typical of the Beatles, especially Paul. Where they, well, I guess in this period it was kind of, because you hear the outro to "All You Need Is Love" and all this kind of crazy stuff, and "I'm the Walrus." So I guess it was part and parcel of this period. But all right, so let's start off with the lyrics. One point I made is like, thankfully, John avoids the trope of "rain is like tears" because it's been done 1,000 times, and he even did it. My tears are falling like rain from the sky, right? Um, so I'm glad he avoids that. And to me, it's a very kind of Zen statement. It's basically saying it is what it is. Just let it be. Let it happen. Um,
this is John's "Let It Be."
yeah, John's let it be. Weather happens. Stop complaining. Right. I noticed in the lyric too. Just to, well, some people might get mad at me for this, but John from Rubber Soul on had a bit of a messiah complex. He even did come out and say, he told the Beatles he was a reincarnation of Jesus, right? But like when you listen to a song like The Word, right? Say the word and be like me. In other words, he's the expression of enlightenment. Well, when he says, "Can you hear me?" That when it rains, it shines. Just can you hear me? Uh, there actually is another lyric in there that makes it sound like he's kind of telling them that he knows and they should learn from him. I can't remember the lyric now.
It is, yeah. I know what you're saying because overall it is kind of a judgmental song. They run and hide their heads, right? Like it's about them, those people, not about me.
Yes. And in fact, it's good that you brought that up. I mean, I wrote down here the word "they" is important,
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
song because who are they? They're
I
what the
can show
hippies call,
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right. I can show you. That's the one.
yeah,
That's the line.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and this Messiah complex goes beyond the Beatles. When he wrote "Working Class Hero," if you want to be a hero, just follow me.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, which I always take. I mean, I still think that must be ironic. I think he's singing that ironically. I don't think he's singing that straightforward.
It could be. Yeah, it could very well
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
but
which
maybe that's just my interpretation.
I'd like that if it was true. So, um, oh yeah, there's my yeah. I can show you. Um, so yeah, the they it reminds me of within you and without you. You know, that kind of
Mm,
demarcation line. There's
yeah.
them and there's us, and that was
Yeah.
going on with the hippies. You know, they
You know,
named
it's a good point because I always bring this up in relation to George and John and the difference of their preachiness. I always find George to be very preachy and looking down and judgmental, whereas John is usually like, isn't he a bit like you and me? You know, kind of more
yeah, right,
inclusive. But this is a
yeah,
good example of John doing exactly what I criticize George for doing, which is looking down. Those people,
yeah,
I
yeah,
can show you. Yeah.
yeah. But you know, you have to like it for the Zen statement of it. I do like that about it. You know, it's like it's neither good nor bad. It just is. You know, um, which of course is a bit idealistic as the hippies were. I mean, when you're drenched in rain and you can't get any shelter and it's coming, it's not fun. You know, it's not like just like a sunny day. It's different. You know, where he says it's all the same in this song. He actually says the lyric. You know,
Well, it's
when,
just a state of mind, right? Which
yeah, it's just a
to
state
me
of mind.
is
Yeah,
clearly I mean, this cannot just be literal. He's clearly saying this is not literal. He's saying it's a state of mind, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so clearly there's not much theory I can go into with this song, so I'm going to save it for a minute later. Let's talk about the production, all right? Because that, first of all, number one, I've talked about when you think about the elements of what music is made of, you have to think of rhythm, melody, and harmony. However, I'm reminded of an old saying from the Middle East, which is in order to boil water, you need an intermediary, meaning a pot, right? You can't boil water without something there, and you can't make music without an intermediary. You have to have a voice or an instrument or whatever. And what these means of expressing music become are textural. They're sonic colors, tone colors, I should say, right? So a guitar sounds like a guitar, piano sounds like a piano, vocal chorus sounds like a vocal chorus, and on and on. A million ways you can express the same melody and harmony through different textures, right? So now I always say that the problem, and I'm definitely being a boomer here, is the problem with like EDM and computer generated music in general is that the emphasis is on texture. The EDM composers really emphasize, oh, this color, this sound, this cool effect. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Ravel did it with the Bolero, you know, but you have to have some substance to build it on. It should be a great chord progression, great melody, great rhythm you could dance to or feel good about, you know. So yeah, at the expense of the other elements of music, texture can actually well, the old saying goes, you can't polish a turd, right? So right, so
Are
that.
you calling the song a turd?
Not Rain. No, it's a good song. It's not. It's a good song, but I prefer Nowhere Man over it. You know, it's okay. It's just I wonder what John thought about it. I'd be curious.
It's a good question.
Anyway, here's a little interesting note. Oh, you want to look that up? Okay, while
I'll
you
look it
look
up
at it,
while you have your interesting note.
while I'm pontificating here. Um, well, first of all, there's an interesting little kind of glitchy thing that happens in the song before the first chorus, between the end of the first verse going into the first chorus. If there's two beats added to it before it comes into the chorus, which is rather unusual, and I have no idea why they did that because it doesn't show up later, right? If you listen to it, give it a listen after just before the first chorus. Uh, Comes the rain, the rain comes 1, 2, there's like two beats just chucked in there, and I don't know what that is. I have no idea why they did that. There's a certain mystery around that. Like, I don't know, did John just play the guitar first and accidentally, do that, or and then they built on it anyway? Whatever. So that's weird. Of course, the famous. This is a Jeff Emmerich tweak. Is that Paul wanted a more present sound on his bass, and apparently you could do something to a speaker that if you change the wiring, it can become a microphone. Have you ever heard this? And so the way they recorded "Rain" in Paperback Writer was the first. I think it was the only time they did this, but Jeff Emmerich placed this speaker right against the speaker coming out of Paul's amp,
Mm.
and that's how they recorded the bass, and that's why the bass apparently is so present.
I've never heard that.
Oh, you never heard that? That was, yeah,
No.
that's in Jeff
Mm.
Emmerich's book. It was
Okay.
an interesting little tweak. Yeah.
Wow.
And in fact, another tweak that happened for this particular song was um, Speed. When you used a tape recorder in the old days, it was kind of like a record player where you had 16 RPM or 33 RPM or 45. They were only like very set increments on tape machines in those days, right? So, they expressed the desire to record it fast and slow it down to a key that would be, singable, but not overly, not so overly done. And one of the techs at EMI came up, invented Speed for the occasion. So you can actually dial in a speed, It's an interesting little point. Uh, I'm going to refer to this more in the theory section, but this very dense texture is almost what's called pandiatonic harmony. And pandiatonic harmony, there was some book I read by the composer Aaron Copland. I asked AI about it. It was stupid as usual, so it couldn't tell me what book. But in one of his books, I think he's speaking to the layman about music, and he talks about pandiatonic harmony. Um, it was in a chapter about modern music, like modern classical music, and pandiatonic harmony means that all the notes of a particular, especially a major key, all the notes are harmonious with each other. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this, James. So as long as you hit like a bass note that's saying this is the bass, this is the root, you could like literally just punch the keys on the piano, and as long as it's the keys, the notes that correspond to the key are in, and it's acceptable as a G chord. You could punch it again and put a C in the bass and acceptable as a C chord. The reason I bring this up is this song is almost pandiatonic. It's got a lot of stuff going on, like Harrison moving lines and the
Harrison?
harmonies, or yeah, right, not Harrison, right? Whatever those three, whoever played those three guitars that are on it, right? So yeah, there's that. I There's a mysterious thing on there. I told you I found a bunch of artifacts in this song. No one that I know of talked about. Um, if you listen to right after, there's a cool little thing that happens where there's a break. It's toward the end. There's a break, and Paul and Ringo play
Mm-hmm.
together, and
Yep.
Paul does a
Yep.
cool little lick, and then they
Yeah.
jump in. It's really a
Yeah.
first for the Beatles. I never heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right after that, you can hear. I'm gonna tune the guitar down to it. Wait. Hear that note?
You sure do.
All right, so listen to the song after that cool little bass and drums moment, and you hear for every two bars on the first beat of the first of those two bars, you hear this note, and it's obviously not the bass guitar. And so to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So what I think it was I think it was is I think it's that that in Let It Be you saw that not Let It Be in Get
Get
Back.
back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you saw that bass electric guitar. It's an electric guitar, 6 string guitar, but it's a bass electric guitar,
Mm. Yeah.
right? And
Right.
that's the only way you can get a note like that, unless you do what I did, which is
Mm.
tune it
Yeah.
way
Right.
down,
Right. 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 Mm.
But give a listen to that. It's really interesting. It's just there,
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was an afterthought or what, but it's a cool tone.
Mm.
It's contributing to this like mishmash of color and sound and everything that comprises this song.
And you're saying it's not related to the fact that the whole thing's been slowed down and thus pitched down.
Well, I mean, it could be, but that's a very low G note
Mm.
that you could find
Mm.
on a bass guitar, probably the open G string of a bass. I would imagine. I'm not sure. I'm not a
The
bassist. I
open
don't
G.
know.
All right. Yeah.
Um, so if it was in B flat, it would still be pretty damn low.
Mm. Well.
So
Well.
yeah. Um, you know, as far as the part of the texture, there's a comment in the vocal harmony. I didn't break down the vocal harmony, but I'll give the link to Beatles vocal harmony where Frudua breaks it down for you. I just didn't have the patience. There's so much. I I didn't have the patience to go through all of it. So because it's so dense, it's so thick, it's hard to hear
Mm.
stuff.
Mm.
But the harmonies are a combination of like thirds, standard thirds, right? So uh, uh, there's some thirds in the harmonies. Like I said, I didn't go deep into it, but there's also fourths, and to me, it almost reminds me of a bagpipe sound where I go.
Mm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right? They even do
Yeah.
that kind of. So yeah, and you're gonna get that sound with open fourths or open fifths. They're just a
Mm.
big wide sound without a third
Yeah.
in there. So there's the Beatles doing, just paying honor to the chords that they're on and doing the right thing. hmm So
Here's an observation I will make about this track, and you tell me what this means. When I listen to the actual speed, take 5, I think it sounds more like whatever the Monkees and acts like that were doing at that time. That kind of jangly, feel goody kind of folk rocky something, whatever that mid '60s sound was. When you slow it down, that's when it becomes the psychedelic sound.
right,
That's what
right.
it feels like to me anyway.
Yes, I was going to mention that Mixolydian licks were the thing
Mm.
at that time. So Paul's bass part obviously is a Mixolydian lick. What is Mixolydian? Okay, if you take the G major scale, Mixolydian means you take that T to Do and you flat it so you get. Then you select notes from that scale to create a lick out. Right? Now, there are a few songs that I think were propelled this kind of sound from American black music, Ray Charles, what did I say? Where you get this which when you listen to the Ray Charles, it's on a piano, it's on an electric piano, but when it translated over to guitar with the treble setting, it just sounded so cool. And everyone was going after these Mixolydian licks. So yeah, you mentioned the Monkees, like right, or
And
I
it's
don't
that
know.
jangly 12-stringy kind of sound,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
and there's the awesome Carole King song that was well covered by the Monkees called "Pleasant Valley Sunday." I don't know if I could do the lick. I tried doing it the other day. It's really hard because it's out of phase with time. I don't even remember how it goes. That's lick, right? It's out of phase with time. Uh, uh, you hear that?
Mm,
It's a guy
yep.
named Chip Douglas wrote it. It's just really the coolest thing, and I was really surprised because on the record it's pretty damn fast, and I was surprised that Mike Nesmith could actually do it. But you see him doing it in the video, so he was decently talented. Um, so yeah, it's funny you brought that up because around that era you get like that's a Mixolydian lick, right? You get Pretty Woman. Uh, 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 That's a song by the Rolling Stones called "This Will Be the Last Time." Cool lick, by the way. But that was the thing. Everybody was writing these Mixolydian-based licks. It all came out of American black music. Really, it was just the seventh chord became truly acknowledged in this era, which is just awesome. It's really wonderful. So,
And may I also interject to say that when you were playing just the chords, and I assume you're using that shape where you're rooted on the D note on the B string, right? And yeah, when you're playing it like that, I mean, it just sounds like a folk song, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Chord
yeah.
wise, it's three chords. I mean, this is not a complicated song, but it is the depth of the texture, as you say, really makes the song. And I know, I understand why this is not as interesting a song as say Nowhere Man, but for me, I really like the texture. I really think this is an amazing sounding record.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. I can understand why you like it. It's not like I don't like the song. I just like when I listen to in my
Mm,
mind, I break it down to its bare bones. And can you
mm,
play it on one guitar? And what does it sound like on one
yeah,
guitar?
it would sound pretty lame.
Well, I wouldn't call it lame, but it'd be more of a folk song in a way,
Yeah,
like you say, right?
yeah.
Um, Now, here's a little anomaly. There's a few anomalies in here. Now, this is a weird thing, but the way Mike Pachelli did it was the chorus was rain. I don't mind, right? I listened to it very closely, and I'm hearing like not a C chord, but a kind of F chord. And I'm like, what the hell? Where is that F coming from? It's really buried in the track. But if it was in there, and I think it's in this octave, so it's in there. So this is
Does
the
that have anything to do with what the bass is doing in that moment? Because it's doing the like, is it hammer
he's
on?
doing the quaternary
Oh,
triplet,
okay,
right?
okay. Well, what am I thinking about? The part where he's doing that hammer on, doing, doing, doing.
Oh, gee, you know what? I don't know. I know what you're referring to
Yeah.
because I remember watching some live Beatles, and I forget what song it was, but Paul sounded like his bass sounded on the record, and he did one of these, those things that Paul used to do, and it sounded like wow. It sounds like the way they recorded the bass. It just had that
Mm,
that really
mm,
round sound that Paul discovered.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I heard it like in a kind. It might have been that electric bass guitar, that six-string bass guitar.
Mm, mm.
I don't know, but you have to listen really closely to it. You have to listen to it in headphones and real close to actually discern that F note.
Yeah. No, but when you play it, I hear what you're saying. There is
And
something in that moment that does have that. Yeah, it's not just the straight C, right?
and it's buried. It's really
Mm,
buried like that sharp nine chord in Michelle's kind of buried,
mm,
in the track.
mm,
Um, this is a situation like the first chord of Hard Day's Night. The whole song is like that. That first chord of Hard Day's Night, there, three different harmony instruments and the bass. You had piano, two guitars, and bass doing this polychord, right? Polychord is a mixture of a few chords in one. So this is why I'm saying this song is very pandiatonic. There's all sorts of wild sounds inside of this thing that it's really hard to make. It's like a river. It's like a river of sound just flowing through. Um, so yeah, one thing I also want to mention. I'm kind of jumping around my notes here, but one little thing I thought about was that moment with the drums and bass doing that little solo. When you listen to it, there's like dead silence behind them. It's almost as if it was like a day in the life situation where they left two bars open and then they decided to do something with it later. It almost sounds like that to me. I want to talk about the vocal. All right. One thing that really annoyed me, what's his name? Isaac Brown was his name, the Gen Z producer. Kind of bothered me was when he kept like complaining that, oh, he's such a nasally vocalist. I don't like the sound of his nasally vocals. But you have to say like this song is the song that Noel Gallagher got his cue from, the way how he should sing. Right? Like Lennon, that nasally sound. But here's the thing, like, why does it sound so psychedelic the way he's singing? Aside from the tape effect and everything, right? First of all, he's singing behind the beat, just like on Nowhere Man, singing way behind the beat, meaning he's actually singing slightly slower than the tempo, so it sounds like he's just kind of getting there. It's this almost this flowy, drippy, vocal happening. Um, he really, these guys invented the psychedelic sound. They did. Um, I don't mind. I can't. I don't mind. The way he drops that down. And can you hear me? I can't sing. Can you hear me? It's got that kind of. So I thought about it because I'm much acquainted with mantras and things like this. I was involved in that sort of thing, and even though it could have been. There is Hindu chanting. They have what are called seed syllables, which are like Om is a seed syllable. But there are two that are very nasally. One is ein, ein, and one is clean, right? And in fact, the Tibetans have this thing where you sound it through your nostrils, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the Tibetan sounds is hing, hing, right? So, and I think John is kind of emulating that because he was, like Tomorrow Never Knows. I want it to sound like 1,000, Tibetan monks chanting on a mountain, right? Yeah. So
that complements his singing style perfectly. Yeah, but it works. Yeah.
And by the way, just as a side note, there's a band called The Who, not WHO, but HU, and they're out of Mongolia. And if you ever listen to The Who, you'll find that this is a source of all death metal. They really, the kind of throaty, weird stuff that death metal singers are into. Give it a listen sometime. It's really fascinating. All right. So, all right. Let's get into the theory real quick. All right. So the song is based on a 1-4-5, and you could get away with playing G, C, and D for the song. The rain comes, they run and hide their heads. They might as. But what I'd like to do is, since there's not much theory around the song, is I'd like to do a screen share to explain to people what a 1-4-5 actually is. So let me take a second to do a screen share. I have to find the damn.
One eternity later.
Okay, so yeah, and you see my mouse moving. Okay, so first of all, the notes of G major. Now I have it repeat slightly after the octave, and I'll explain why in a moment. But it's basically do re mi fa sol la ti do re mi fa, like that. All right, now the next point is how chords are built in this particular key, which is G. Right? How chords are built is you leapfrog from one note to the next to the next, and that's called a root, a third, and a fifth. Okay. You could do that with every note of the key, and you'll get a different chord. Now, I only did two chords here, but you could do B, D, F sharp, and C, E, G, and so on and so D, D, F sharp, A, yada, yada. Right? So this chord G major, G, B, D, sits, it's created from the first step of the scale. So we give it a Roman numeral 1, and it's equivalent to G major. The 2 chord turns out to be a minor chord. So that'd be A, C, E. So there you have that. And on through the whole set. So what is a 1-4-5? Well, we find out that there are 3 major chords within any major key. The first chord, based on the first step, the fourth chord, based on the fourth step, and that should be, what did I do? I repeated it. Oh, did it twice. All right, let's just don't look at that. Where my just make believe that isn't there. And then D, F sharp, A gives us D major. So we have 1, 4, and 5. A G major, C major, and D major. So those are the 3 major chords right there that come out of the key of G. And all right, so I stopped sharing. Now, one thing I want to say is that rock and roll, the basis of rock and roll, who is it? Professor of Rock, his outgoing motto is 3 chords and a beat or something like that. That's rock and roll, right? Or he might even say 2 chords, but it doesn't matter. The basic rock and roll scheme is based on 1, 4, and 5. Now, you could think of songs like same exact configuration as Rain, but you could think of almost the same anyway. Shake, shake it up, baby, twist and shout, right? All right, so when the rain comes, they run and hide their heads, right? Now, this could be the basis. Now, first of all, the 1-4-5 can be mixed. It doesn't have to be in that order. You can mess around, mix them up, change them up, right? So you get, like in basic rock and roll, what happened was they took this 1-4-5 and they turned them to a particular kind of chord with a particular texture called a 7th chord. Now, if you were to do twist and shout that way, it's not that, right? But if you were to think of, say, a Chuck Berry song, or say Roll Over Beethoven, which is also a Chuck Berry song, Gonna ride to my local DJ. It's a rockin' little record, I want my truck. So I got 1 and 4, and now 5. Roll over Beethoven, did it again today. So this 1-4-5 thing is all over rock. They can be all rock and roll, I should say, and they can either be just straight major chords or these dominant 7th chords. So I just wanted to make that clear for the laymen in the audience that don't know what 1-4-5 means. Very common term amongst musicians. If a musician is introducing a song to another musician, it's a 1-4-5. Don't worry about it. It's really easy, right? That sort of thing. So yeah. Now I want to mention this. This to me is rather fascinating. Is Paul and John were on this kind of equal footing. When you think about Rain, this is a very simple song compared to something like Dr. Robert or other stuff from Revolver. But it seemed to me they had a talk, and they talked about, it'd be really cool to write a song with 2 chords or just 3 chords, So look at the flip side of the song. Paperback Writer. It's two chords. Paperback Writer is a two-chord song, right? This is sorry, man. I'm really reading my book. It took me years to write. Will you take a look? Based on an album I'm in, name there, and I need a time, so I wanna be a paperback writer. Paperback writer. Paperback writer. Paperback writer. I don't know what that happens there, but it's definitely G and C all through. So there you go. And again, they're like this kind of competitive match, like who can write the least amount of chords in a song, right? And again, that song compensates with texture, right? That you do this Beach Boys like harmonies and all like that. So
We
yeah,
think of this as a John song, but in this book, they have Paul has also pointed out, I don't think Rain was just John's. We sat down and wrote it together. It was John's vocal and John's feel on the song, but what gave its character was collaboration. I think it's all too easily said it's a John song, it's a Paul song. That's a fallacy.
that's great. And what the beauty of the Get Back sessions brought to me was seeing how they actually did work together.
Mm.
That everyone threw in an idea. Ringo, George, whoever threw in maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, and that was when they were having a hard time with each other. But you go back to this
Yeah.
era, there was a lot of equity and a good feeling of fellowship amongst the guys, and you know. I could easily see John and Paul, like John going, "Hey, I have this Rain idea," you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, guess who came up with the idea for the bass and drum solo at the end of Rain, right? So, yeah. So, you know what? I think we covered it, James.
I think we did. Should I end with an interesting anecdote? Of course, everyone has heard about the backwards vocal at the end and how John came up with it and blah, 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 or how John was inspired by it. But here's an interesting little thing they have at the end. Although officially a B-side, Rain received similar promotional support to the single's top side with film clips made at the same time as Paperback Writer, and also inclusion in the group's live appearance on Top of the Pops. Interestingly, for these performances, the Beatles mimed playing Rain in G, which was not its key when they had played it in the studio. Right? Furthermore, John was required to mouth the strange sound of his vocal heard backwards.
That's great.
Which, it was probably pretty difficult to do, I guess. But
yeah.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, apparently he's just saying "When the Rain Comes" backwards. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm looking at the lyrics on Genius.com, and they literally wrote them backwards. SD.
Yeah. I've seen that. Right.
R-I-E. Yeah.
And that's my go-to lyric site, by the way, is Lyric Genius. Yeah. All right. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I thought I was going to have a hard time, kind of, because there's such little going on with the chords. But yeah, it's a 1-4-5, and the chorus is 1 and 4, and that's it. That's the song, music theory wise.
I still like it. It's a good
Well,
1, 4,
James,
5.
You seem hurt that I said that. It's not my favorite Beatles song. I like it. I like Rain. I was just actually, it just came to me today that this isn't necessarily my favorite Beatles song. For the most part of the Beatles.
Sorry. Okay, one last question, if I may.
Yeah.
I feel that this is kind of a twin song with She Said, She Said. And I don't know why I feel that. To the extent that I remember a few months ago, I was just randomly thinking that She Said, She Said had been slowed down. But no, it was Rain that was slowed down.
Rain, yeah.
But they feel so similar, the texture of the song.
Yeah, I hear exactly what you I know what it's like to. It's also Mixolydian, right? And you can almost hear, even though that's not in the song, you can almost hear it for the song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Paul stormed out of the she said session. Maybe he wanted to do something like that. John
Apparently,
argued against it.
but
Who knows?
George did a great job on the bass for that. I was really impressed with his bass work on that song.
If it's George, again, there is question about that.
There's a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's been questions about that. Oh, okay.
I think because some of the newer outtakes that we've gotten have Paul talking. You can hear him, and they record the track with bass. So maybe he was actually playing the bass, but then he stormed out later. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't done the definitive deep dive on that.
Yeah, the sad thing about Beatles history, with as much media as we have on them, is that there are always going to be mysteries, that we'll never be able to solve. Right. That's why I'd love to talk to Paul one day. I'd love to just write down a list of all the Beatles mysteries and just ask him about them.
The problem is you ask each one of them about it, and you would get 4 different stories.
Yeah, 4 different versions, right?
Who knows?
It's a telephone game. Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, for all you folks out there that are interested in music theory and want to learn about music theory, I am a teacher, and you could get in touch with me through my website, vincognito.com. It's like incognito with a V. And if you want to get an amazing perspective on geopolitics and what's going on in the world, do visit thecorbettreport.com first before you go to YouTube, because James prefers it when you go to his site, and I can understand why. That's where all the juice is anyway. You get the real personal commentaries and people talking to each other in a sane way. So, yeah, very cool. I guess that's it, James. I'll see you tomorrow night for your guitar lesson. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Take care, buddy.
Take care. Bye-bye.